Yo, what's going on guys? Chris Bourne here, Overtime Athletes. For today's video, what I wanted to do was a follow-up to the linear speed progression video where I talked about the progression of making a more efficient cycle, right, in top speed. So today I wanted to do a follow-up of a simple progression for acceleration, right? And this is usually typically your first 10 yards roughly, or 15, depending on the athlete, before you get into that transition phase. And what I wanted to do is kind of just brain dump and give you my mindset of how I want to progress an athlete, right? When I talk about acceleration, I talk about stance, start, and steps, right? And just making your angles optimal so you're applying as much horizontal force into the ground, propelling yourself forward to ultimately get to reach max velocity as fast as you possibly can. Well, from a coaching perspective, how do we do this, right? So with my athletes, the first and foremost, right, is from a game speed, meaning like actually accelerating from either decelerating or just starting off from a dead stop. I want to create that piston-like action, right, and increase that threshold as much as possible. So I do that two ways. On this side, I want to elevate their horizontal force as much as possible, right? So we're going to do a lot of broad jumps, a lot of triple jumps, a lot of, single leg triple jumps, things of that are going to propel them forward. On this side over here, what I want to do is I want to first address is that piston-like action, right, of hip flexion, right, and hip extension through the glute. Okay, so how do I do it? Here's a simple progression that I follow. First and foremost, we raise the threshold by performing a wall sprint. So Jordan, I'll have you come over here. So for the first drill or the first phase, we're gonna do a wall sprint where the athlete's basically gonna line up, and not to get into the technical part of this, but the whole goal is he's stationary, he's applying force back down into the ground, he's rapidly training hip flexion, hip extension. So go ahead and put your right leg up. Good, on my go, you're gonna go 3 seconds, rapid fire, ready, core tight, glutes tight, and go. Fast, 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 time, good. So as you can see here, he's using an immovable force. He's applying force back down into the ground, training that piston-like action. How do we progress that? The next one we'll do is going to be a band resisted, okay? So band resisted, the athlete is going to put that around the waist. The reason why I like the band is because obviously it has that rubber stretch like. Now, here's the common mistake. Jordan, when he does these band resisted, we're training that rapid piston-like action. So I actually don't want him to drive forcefully. It's not immovable like the wall. It has some resistance, but Jordan, what I want you to do is simply lean into the band, right? I want you to rapid fire, lift with your hip, pull down with your hip, strike the ground, okay? I want rapid fire. Think 1,000 reps in 5 yards, all right? So as fast as you can. Don't pull, don't pull. Ready, and go. Pop, 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 pop. Good, relax. Good. So as you can see here, we're training that piston-like action. He's not driving forcefully and pushing away. We're more or less training that fast sequence of the piston. Then finally, for the final progression, how do we start to add some of that force? We go with a partner release start, okay? So start on the line. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna give him a little tension. You could do this, guys have like releases. I've seen those bungees where they sit there and they do that, right? We come up from nothing, so we don't have those fancy things in here. But what we're gonna do is a partner release, and this is something that I've always done even when I was training back in like high school, right? So he's gonna lean into me, he's gonna do the same piston-like action, right? We're gonna get him firing up that motor system as fast as possible, and then we transfer that by releasing him and allowing him to do that same thing while applying force back down into the ground, all right? So check it out. Ready, and go. Pop, 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 boom. Training that piston-like action, elevating the threshold, releasing it so it's actually live bullets and he's actually performing acceleration. So there you have it, guys. Just wanted to give a follow-up. Now, this is obviously a loaded thing. There's many progressions when it comes to acceleration. From the start, actually exploding off that first step, we've got into some of those things as far as like jump back, falling, single leg high knees. But as far as the actual steps, before I even train mechanics and getting low heel recovery, I focus first on elevating the threshold, right? Isolating that rapid hip flexion and powerful hip extension before we even get into any kind of mechanics. That's how I get the most bang for my buck, pick off the lowest hanging fruit, get the athlete faster, and then go ahead and focus on the little details like mechanics. So I hope that helps. There's a linear progression for acceleration. I'll talk to you guys next time.